Speaker recognizes Representative Stone.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to speak to House Bill 5477, the Kratom Consumer Protection Act. Roughly 3 years ago, I had never heard of metragenine, commonly known as kratom. This legislation stemmed from a chance conversation with a friend. She had mentioned that her husband had encouraged her to try this kratom stuff, and he had said it's natural supplement that would give her some energy since she'd been feeling run down. She tried it and said it made her feel jittery. She didn't particularly care for it. She asked if I had heard of it. I told her no. She pointed out that on the packaging there was no dosage, no side effects, and no interaction warnings. I thought to myself, how are people taking kratom but they don't even know what they're taking? I filed it away, not giving it too much attention. I had a lot on my plate. But like some of you, I'm a member of my local prevention coalition. I work with community leaders to address and prevent use and abuse of substances. And at the time, opioids were the biggest concern in our community. A couple of peer recovery coaches in Macomb County reached out to me as a substance of concern called kratom. I had heard of it, and indeed, not too long before I had. These peer recovery coaches were working on a grassroots effort to advocate for regulation of kratom. They had done their homework, and they had worked with the Chippewa Valley Coalition for Youth and Families, Macomb County Office of Substance Abuse, and the Wayne State University Poison and Drug Information Center to develop fact sheets. They began by educating parents, healthcare providers, and community members. They also took the initiative to draft legislation that they felt would address some of their concerns. Sitting down with several Macomb County legislators, the recovery community advocates shared their concerns and their experiences. Within the substance use recovery community, kratom is being promoted as a holistic solution for those in recovery from opioid addiction. They shared their concerns that kratom was being sold in our community with big promises and little guidance. One recovery coach shared an experience of starting out taking just one capsule a day, but soon increased dosage with increased tolerance and no guidelines on a dosage not to exceed. They were no sooner taking a bottle of kratom a day. Another experience was someone who was hospitalized with a seizure as a result of using kratom, and fatalities linked to kratom contaminated with salmonella, as well as kratom adulterated with fentanyl. Having been previously unaware of kratom use, it didn't take long to begin to notice kratom sales throughout our community and through the state. There is a general lack of awareness. Conversations in my community have revealed that these concerns are not isolated. According to the Drug Enforcement Administration, kratom is a tropical tree native to Southeast Asia. Consumption of the leaves produces a stimulant effect in low doses, a sedative effect in high doses. It has opioid-like properties and can cause dependence and result in withdrawal symptoms when someone stops taking kratom. At the time, kratom packaging had no guidance for how much kratom to take, no dosage, the potency of a product, no amount in milligrams of what's okay to consume, what kind of kratom it is, whether it's white, green, or red kratom, which further produces varied effects, how often kratom can be consumed or the frequency with which not to exceed, how kratom should be consumed, a capsule, a tea, or by other methods, and no reference to potential side effects or drug interactions. As I researched kratom, I learned of many perspectives on how to approach kratom regulation. Some government entities are waiting for the World Health Organization to issue an outright ban. The WHO decided not to ban for insufficient scientific evidence. Recognition that substances that are outright banned, unless they are lethal or life-limiting, instead of being regulated, are driven underground into black markets, fuel illicit crime, and are ripe for being laced with potentially deadly substances such as fentanyl. The FDA has attempted to have kratom added as a Schedule 1 drug, which the DEA has the final determination. And in 2016, the DEA deemed kratom to not meet this criterion and therefore at no point can intercede. Is kratom more harmful than marijuana or alcohol? Many states are currently working to decriminalize the use of marijuana, which federally is still a Schedule 1 substance, but many people don't agree that that's an accurate classification. So where does kratom fit? Some states have banned kratom: Indiana, Vermont, and Alabama. Wisconsin originally adopted a ban, but it is now exploring regulatory approach. Other states have imposed age restrictions, such as Minnesota, Illinois, and Tennessee. States that opted to restrict and regulate kratom, which makes the most sense in understanding how it's being used and it's sometimes abused: Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, Oregon, Utah, Colorado, and Missouri. Similar legislation is currently being considered by Kansas. And after much consideration, discussion, and deliberation about kratom, we've worked to develop a Kratom Consumer Protection Act that I believe will best serve Michigan's consumers. Restricting use to adults 21 or older, labeling potential side effects, accountability for production, distribution, and limit tainted products from being sold to consumers. Michigan can empower those who choose to use kratom to make informed decisions. Individuals who have underlying tendencies to addiction can avoid substituting one addiction for another. Kratom use and need for regulation is not a partisan issue. Our office has worked across the aisle to refine legislative and identify regulatory language that can have an impact on kratom use. I know this may be new to some of you. I hope it's been informative. We've brought some information facts to help build awareness in the legislature, as well as information that can be brought back to your communities. Criminalization is not the solution to every situation. And in the case of kratom, I believe information, education, and regulation will empower those who produce kratom, those who sell kratom, and those who consume kratom to make informed decisions to mitigate potential harms. I ask my colleagues to join me in regulating kratom by supporting House Bill 5477. Thank you.